Story time about a Santa Muerte devotee getting their revenge. So, this story time I'm going to tell y'all is something that I learned from a coworker. And it's something that I'm experiencing because one of my coworkers is going through this. So, for this story time, we're going to say that my coworker's name is Lupe. Lupe is from Mexico, and her husband is also from Mexico. They live here in America, and they have 2 young boys. Lupe also has an older daughter. The older daughter, I don't know her name, but I do know that the older daughter is a Santa Muerte devotee. One day I'm at work on a break, and me and Lupe are talking. And we're just talking about family issues and things like that. So Lupe tells me that she has an older daughter that she doesn't speak to. And I say, why? And she says, because her oldest daughter accused Lupe's husband, her mother's husband, of essaying her, of raping her. And she doesn't believe her daughter, so, she just thinks her daughter's starting a bunch of mess, telling a bunch of lies, so she doesn't believe her daughter. And she believes her husband. She believes her husband didn't do it. She trusts her husband, and she's not going to leave her husband. And because of the accusation, she decided to end the relationship with her daughter, stop speaking to her, and they haven't spoken in years. And she also told me that her daughter is a Santa Muerte devotee. Everybody at work knows I'm a spiritualist. They know, many people know I work with Santa Muerte. It's not a secret. Clients know, everybody knows. And I said, oh, and she says, I think my daughter is trying to put work on me. I think she's cursed me and my husband. I think she's used Santa Muerte on me. I think she's hurt me. And I said, well, how do you know? She said, I just feel it. I just can't explain it, is what she said. She said, I just feel like she has. And I said, oh, well, you need to come to me. You and your husband, y'all need to book a reading with me. Y'all need to get a session with me. But of course, Lupe does not believe in Santa Muerte. She's a Christian. And so I accept it, and I say, well, I understand. If y'all want to talk about it, you need to book a reading. But, let me know if I can help. But I just said, are you sure you don't want to talk to your daughter again? You don't want to ever speak to her again? And Lupe says, no, I don't ever want to talk to her again in life. And she says, well, sometimes I do think about wanting to talk to her, but I just feel like she's lying. She made up this big lie and caused a big mess in my marriage, and I just don't want anything to do with her. And then she told me, I think my daughter calls me and prank calls my house from time to time, because sometimes people will call and just hang up the phone. And I told her, I don't know, what to tell you. So when I left from that conversation, I was thinking, dude, that's a pretty tough situation. She decided to sacrifice the relationship with her daughter just to believe her husband and take her husband's side. And something just didn't sit right with me. I just didn't believe that her daughter would lie to cause that much of a problem in her mother's relationship and marriage, just on a lie. So I left it alone, mind my own business. I think it was about a month or 2 later, Lupe comes to me and says, man, I don't know what's going on. I think my daughter's doing something to me because everything's not going right with me and my husband. I said, what's going on? She said, well, he makes money. He makes a lot of money. He just can't seem to keep it. All the money he makes is runs out of his hands. It's like we never have any money, although we should. Because I make money, he makes money. I just don't understand what's happening with the money. And I was thinking, that's a sign that you got work on you. Your money is now diminished, is depleted. And so I just said, well, girl, you need to hit me up and let me know. I wasn't going to push it because I already told her that before and she didn't do it. So I'm not really giving anything to the situation because I really don't have energy to do that. So I tell her, girl, just hit me up sometime, whatever, if you need help. She says, okay, never did. So I talked to her today at work, and, I hadn't really been talking to Lupe a lot because I noticed how fake she was, and it's just something about her spirit that just don't agree with me. So I kind of pushed back from the friendship, not because she did something wrong or it's just we just weren't resonating. And so we kind of drifted apart, but still spoke, was still cool. And so today at work, she spoke to me out of the blue. She's like, oh, before she left, she's like, oh, happy Easter, Carla. Even though she knows I don't really celebrate Easter, I'm like, oh, happy Easter to you. And I'm trying to be nice. So I'm like, what are you doing for Easter? And she's like, well, it's my son's birthday. we're going to celebrate. He told me what he wanted. We're going to have a party, whatever, a party for my son. I say, okay. But then she just keeps talking to me and she says, yeah, she's like, well, I hope you have a nice Easter. And she's looking at me in my eye and I'm looking at her in her eye. And we're sharing eye contact for a long time. And when we're doing that and while she's talking, the spirits are giving me messages about her. And one of the messages I got is a feeling that she's not going to be here very long. It's like, I know there's a lot of psychics and mediums on this app. Have y'all ever felt when y'all know that somebody's time is near, that they won't be here that long, that they're going to lose their life pretty soon? So that's the message I got while we're making small talk. And I'm like, damn, when I get the message, but I just play it off and I keep talking to her. And I'm thinking, damn, she don't even know. She ain't even got that much much more longer to be here. So I'm still talking to her and then I can feel it. It's like when I made eye contact with her, I can't really explain how I know. I just felt it. I felt the energy of it. And I felt that the conversation was a little odd because we hadn't spoken like this to each other for a long time. And after we got done talking, she's like, okay, see you later. And it just bothered me. That energy stayed with me because she gave me a hug and she hadn't done that in a long time. And when she left work, I went and talked to some of the other girls and I said, hey, was Lupe acting different today or was something different about her? I didn't tell anybody what I was feeling, but they were like, yeah, she was acting different. She was like really quiet into herself and she hasn't been speaking a lot lately today. She's just like kind of awkward into herself. And I said, oh. And then they said, she went to the hospital last week and she had to leave work because she got sick. And I said, really? And they said, yeah. I had no idea that happened. And I said, oh, Lord, it's just a confirmation. And then once I left work, it's like the energy that I felt of her not being here, of her passing, it just got stronger. And I was like, wow, she should have accepted my help, or she should have accepted any spiritualist help. But I guess it just wasn't meant. I feel like the spirits told me that it was her justice. That it was her karma, for knowing that her husband did that to her daughter, leaving her daughter's relationship to deal with that pain and that situation and that abuse on her own, and then staying with the man who abused her oldest daughter. And I was just wondering, what if her husband had did anything to the sons that live in their home right now, because both of them are autistic. And it was just, I just got a real, one of those premonitions today about Lupe and her marriage and her daughter, and about Santa Muerte, and how her daughter is working on her so hard and putting work on her mother to get justice for the pain that she suffered from her mother's husband. And how you just don't play with the spirit, whether you believe in the spirit or not. The spirits work and they're active. So whether you accept that you believe in a certain spirit or not, it's not going to take the work off of you. When somebody's put some work on you, just saying you don't believe it and you're a Christian is not going to remove the work. And you can lose your life by ignoring the fact that someone has hexed you or cursed you. You can't just turn the other cheek and say, I don't believe it, it doesn't exist, I'm a Christian, and it goes away. That's not how it works. And Santa Muerte is one of those spirits that you just don't play with. And anyway, I see her not being here very much longer. I'll give you guys updates as they come. But thank y'all for listening to my story time. Feel free to comment and let me know what y'all think, and have a great evening. So the message is that was Lupe's karma for allowing her daughter to be abused and doing nothing about it. So yeah, don't play with the spirits, guys.